Close your eyes for a moment. Think about the very first thing you did when you woke up this morning. Which foot did you put out of bed first? What did you eat for breakfast? Did you choose the red mug or the blue one? You probably think those were your decisions. You felt the raw agency, the absolute freedom of choice, as if your mind floated above your physical body like a sovereign monarch making decrees. Now, what if I told you that your brain made every single one of those choices milliseconds before you were even conscious of making them? What if the comforting feeling of free will is not a window into your soul, but a sophisticated psychological illusion painted by a biological machine that has already secretly decided your fate? For centuries, our entire civilization, our legal systems, our moral philosophies, and our concepts of achievement have been built on the solid bedrock of choice. We praise people for their successes and punish criminals because they could have chosen otherwise. But modern neuroscience, quantum physics, and existential philosophy are converging on a terrifying reality. The steering wheel in your hands isn't connected to anything at all. Today, we are diving deep into the cold abyss of determinism. We are looking at the shocking laboratory experiments that shattered human free will, the ancient gears of the cosmos that keep turning whether we like it or not, and the liberating dark truth of what it actually means to live in a world where you might not be the master of your own fate. To understand why free will might be nothing more than a biological sleight of hand, we have to look back to a laboratory experiment that sent absolute shockwaves through both the scientific and philosophical communities. A pioneering scientist named Benjamin Libet set out to answer a deceptively simple question: when do we actually make a conscious decision? He hooked up human participants to an EEG machine and asked them to flick their wrist whenever they felt like it, while watching a specialized clock to note the exact moment they consciously decided to move. What he discovered should deeply disturb anyone who believes they are in complete, unbroken control of their physical actions. Before the participants ever felt the conscious urge to move, before their mind even formulated the thought of flicking the wrist, Libet's instruments detected a distinct surge of electrical activity in the brain's motor regions, known scientifically as the readiness potential. The brain started executing the movement up to 500 milliseconds before the person was ever consciously aware of the intention. Subsequent functional MRI studies pushed this terrifying window even further into the realm of the unbelievable. Researchers at institutions like the Max Planck Institute found they could predict a person's choice up to 7 seconds before they were consciously aware of making it. Think about that for a moment. If your brain makes your choices seconds before your conscious mind wakes up to approve them, who is actually in control? Are you the captain of the ship, or just a passenger reading a script handed to you by your neurons? If neuroscience is harsh on the concept of free will, physics is downright brutal. Long before modern neuroscientists strapped electrodes to human scalps, physicists mapped out a universe governed by unbreakable, ironclad laws of cause and effect, the domain of hard determinism. Imagine a magnificent, endless row of cosmic dominoes stretching across the entire fabric of the universe. Every physical object, every planet spinning in the dark, every burning star, every molecule, and every single atom in your body is rigidly bound by these physical laws. When the Big Bang happened 13.8 billion years ago, it set off an unimaginably vast chain reaction of atomic collisions. Your birth, your unique DNA, the trauma you experienced in childhood, the room temperature right now, and the chemical state of your brain cells are all unbroken links in that ancient causal chain. When you sit at a restaurant menu trying to decide whether to order the chicken or the fish, it feels like pure, unadulterated freedom. But determinism argues your choice is the inevitable result of prior causes. Your genetics, your gut microbiome, your past experiences, and the precise electrical state of your brain at that exact nanosecond. Given the exact same past states of the universe, you could not have chosen differently. You are simply a complex gear turning inside a magnificent deterministic clockwork machine. Yet, this mechanical view of the cosmos forces us to confront a deeply unsettling moral dilemma. If our thoughts and actions are entirely scripted by a sequence of physical events that preceded our birth, what happens to accountability? We like to believe that virtue belongs entirely to us, just as vice is our own deliberate corruption. But if an individual is unlucky enough to inherit a genetic predisposition toward impulsivity, combined with a fractured upbringing in a volatile environment, their path was statistically mapped out long before they ever stepped into a courtroom. Does society lose its right to judge, or must our entire concept of justice evolve into something focused purely on rehabilitation rather than retribution? If determinism is true, are we nothing more than biological puppets dancing on strings we cannot see? Enter the existentialists, most notably the French philosopher Jean-Paul Sartre, who famously looked this terrifying reality in the eye and declared, "Man is condemned to be free." Sartre argued that because there is no pre-written divine script or inherent biological destiny for your life, you are terrifyingly, radically responsible for who you are. Every choice you make is an act of creation, a stroke on an empty canvas. But how do we reconcile brain scans showing a 7-second neurological delay with the existential freedom Sartre talked about? Modern philosophers eventually found a sophisticated middle ground known as compatibilism. While you may not choose the hidden subconscious desires bubbling up from the dark engine room of your biology, as the philosopher Arthur Schopenhauer brilliantly noted, man can do what he wills, but he cannot will what he wills. Your conscious mind acts as an emergency brake. Consciousness doesn't steer the ship from the very beginning. Instead, it evaluates spontaneous impulses, overrides destructive or antisocial ones, and edits the script before it fully plays out in the real world. You may not control every single spark flying out of the engine, but you can choose which ones are allowed to catch fire and consume your life. Here, at the edge of this paradox, lies the ultimate irony. Realizing that free will might be an illusion is not depressing. It is deeply, profoundly liberating. It melts away the crushing weight of bitter regret and harsh, unyielding judgment. When you finally realize that everyone you encounter in life is shaped by a tangled web of biology, trauma, and environment entirely beyond their control, blind anger and judgment are replaced by radical empathy. You realize people don't just choose to be broken, they are shaped by forces they never asked to confront. Whether you chose to watch this video out of absolute, unyielding free will, or because a billion prior cosmic dominoes forced you to click right here and now, doesn't really matter. You're here, you're breathing, and what you do with the next fleeting moment, that is entirely yours to shape. What do you think? Are you the true author of your life, or just a character reading lines written long before you were born? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Hit subscribe and keep questioning deep.